Hello everyone, and welcome on back to IgnitorSMP Season 2. And if you noticed, my voice isn't exactly lining up correctly with the video you see in front of you because I had the fiasco that my audio to my mic was actually cut throughout this entire recording session, so nothing actually went through correctly. So I'm gonna have to try and do this all by memory to remember what I was saying. So what I was originally doing is I was explaining to you all that I've currently got the first two buildings as well as the chicken coop installed on the house, which you can obviously see by me going around exploring the two buildings. And what the plan was is that we were actually going to start getting more of the actual town in place. Though I say town, it's going to be more like the village. And I actually assembled a to-do list for the things that I was going to do, which was to build a sheep pen, pig pen, and add some more housing and roads to the main structures down below. So I was saying that I had a book so I could actually have my thoughts all together, so we spend less time dilly-dallying over what to do in the video. And then I just started going around saying that I'm going to remove all those little animals there and put them into their proper pens and places. So that was going to be our main objective for the day. I can't remember what I was saying at this point directly, I'll be completely honest, but I think what I was saying is that I was going to go check out the shopping district, and I'm pretty sure that's what I was doing. Yep, that was exactly what I was doing. I was heading over to check out the shopping district, as well as introduce the fact that at the time of the recording, we got our newest member, 0 hours, added to the server, and I believe at this point I was trying to see if they had done anything in the shopping district, as well as check on a few things, including to see if he was added to the board, which he was over there in the corner, and that all the bounties looks like were currently cleared up at the time, though I'm pretty sure at the end of the video Iron Knight had a bounty on him because of a unfortunate mishap at the start of his stream. And then I just started looking around, seeing what else there was added. I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I saw that, so I decided to take a look to see if anything had changed. And I ended up noticing a signpost, as you can see right there in the corner, that I didn't remember firsthand, but I noticed that it was pretty much a giant billboard to indicate Indies Arcade, a, well, competitor to SMP Vids. And now, yeah, it's been a while since I've been on, so that was a sight to see firsthand, I'll be completely honest. So I took a moment to actually just be a little bit bamboozled by the fact that there was a giant poo emoji on top of Vids Casino. But after that, I decided to actually go check out if there was any sales over at my shop, the Hop and Shop, and noticed that there was a rental space on the back of the billboard, which I considered as a possibility. And so we just go around, noticing, of course, that all the bamboo is now gone, though I'm pretty sure I was the one who did it. I actually can't remember off the top of my head. And there's actually a single diamond profit made, which, well, I can't be too complaining about, because, well, a diamond's a diamond. So I took the diamond, made my way out, and now I believe my plan was to start getting a few things together and just head on back to our base to get prepped for today's work. So I'm gonna head back into the portal, and that is where this scene ended off. So continuing where we left off, I got back to the village and decided to start looking around for a place to put the pig pen, because that's what I first decided to work with, and I decided to put it right behind the house here because it seemed like the space with the most open availability, and decided to start installing a water trough for the pigs, but decided rather than spruce wood, since I was going to be making most of the building out of spruce wood, to go around and start collecting some oak wood, so it'd be a nicer little lighter color that would clash against the wood just to pop a little bit of difference. So I decided to go right up to the side of the hill there, next to where the future city is going to eventually be, and chop down one of the trees just to get myself a little extra oak wood so we can properly install a pig trough so they'll have lots of fresh water. And doing so, I noticed, of course, that the chopper was spewing out a few extra, well, words. I'm losing my words here. It's hard to voice over. This is something I'm not used to doing. I'm a horrible voice dubber. But no, once I planted a couple of saplings from the oak tree, I decided to head back after making a couple of the logs into, well, planks so we could actually make a proper trough. I head right back down here and start getting to work on the proper pig pen because I needed, well, to get things rolling because I had quite a few things to do on the to-do list. So I got those along with some buttons that I was going to add for details, but once I started working on the actual project, I had to scrap a few of the decoration ideas and ended up adding just a couple of extra additions that, well, as you see in a few moments, will work out quite well because now it's time that we switch slowly from, well, just adding a few buttons here to add some decoration. Instead, I end up switching to a building video because I decided it was not worth it as a time lapse and needed a few extra bits here and there. As a heads up, I was also spending quite a bit of time looking for a bucket to fill the trough with water, and it came to my shock and amusement, and also perplexity, that I had 0 buckets actually on hand, so I ended up having to get some iron from my stores, which I didn't even have any iron prepped, so I had to go get some raw iron and start smelting it so I could actually end up making myself a bucket just so we could actually make the trough. So here I am making the bucket, placing it in my inventory, and heading on back into the fray just so we could actually get some water in the trough. And right here you see me adding water into the trough just to make it look all nice and pretty. So once this is all done and said, I decided to switch into a building time lapse just because it was a little bit more comfortable doing it that way than what I had already planned. And here I am showing off the wonderful new pig pen, emphasizing that I had a little bit of extra space that I wanted to top off with a few extra blocks I had on hand, and notice that it's now foolproof because from what I can see, I don't think any of the pigs are going to be getting out of there anytime soon, though I feel like looking back at it, they may try to escape around the corners, but I'm not 100% sure. So what I decided to do was go taking a look around for any materials that would make them follow me, and I'm pretty sure what I ended up doing was looking for a carrot, which as you can see right now I am desperately looking for, and found inside one of the buildings that will eventually get broken down. I started, I think, talking about how I had a couple of things on mind that I wanted to get rid of in terms of the old build to make way for the new one. But at this point, I just decided it's time to just focus on what was going on, and broke out the pigs, had a little bit of a jailbreak, and had them follow me. And I was also quite surprised that an offhand item will have them follow you, because I was used to always carrying it in my main hand. But I was, I believe, pleasantly surprised that I could still have an item in my main hand while just simply putting the carrot in the offhand, and they would still follow me. So then we got all the nice little piggies all rounded up, and by this point I decided that there was a few extra pigs around the area that I wanted to add to the pen. So I started looking around after a short little explanation to see if there were any extra piggies that I could add to the farm. So once I cleared out the rest of the fencing here, I went off in search of more piggies to add to the pens. And by this point, I had gathered all the remaining pigs that I could find around the area in the dead of night, which I was actually quite shocked over, because at this point we were experiencing a bit of lag, so all the mobs were a little jarring to say the least, because I wasn't sure if an arrow would be heading in my direction or not, so I had to play it very, very safe. So I ended up taking a moment to just kind of look around, see how safe it was around the area, and mark off the there I am trying to make sure I don't end up getting hurt. So I believe I end up just going inside the house to hide a bit so I'm not under constant threat of mobs. And I pull out my book and successfully take pig pen off the to-do list, which made me go into working on sheep fields and more buildings, which I ended up not getting a chance to work on this episode just because I started running out of time. I would have probably done some if not for the fact that when I went to do the recording, I ended up, of course, having to do this. So at this point, I was trying to figure out a way to actually end up putting the sheep pen, because, of course, a lack of space, and it finally dawned on me that I could probably just finally get rid of this rocky, gravelly sort of patch we had here right by the back of the housing, and just make it into a proper grassy field plain. And so I decided it was time to just clear everything out, get everything all flattened and sort of presentable to put in a pig pen, or sheep field rather, and decided to just start going to town. At this point, I'm commenting on how well the field's looking once I've cleared out all the gravel and where I was going to end up putting the sheep pen in its entirety, and decided not only to install a sheep pen, but make sort of a wool enclosure so that when I go to shear the sheep, I can just store all the wool inside the building that I'll soon build, just so everything's all in one spot. And I also was commenting how I didn't have a real solid place to store all my materials until I realized to myself, I actually have a vault I need to finish, and decided that was going to be one of the future projects that I was going to be working on. But at this point, I've decided to just start working entirely on the sheep field, and now another time lapse. And now I finally reached the end where I was showing off our wonderful little sheep pen, where I also had gathered quite a few little extra sheep, or rather I was planning on gathering a few extra sheep to add to the pen, because at this point I saw that I still had quite a few extra sheep that I could probably gather up from the mountain. So I instead first focused on filling in the hole, which I kind of ran out of blocks at that point, so I decided I would take care of that at a later date, and that I was also needing to finally cross off the sheep field. At this point, I decided that I also did a little bit of the roads, since at this point I had connected not only the original buildings that I built, but I also built a road that connected the chicken pen to the fields for the sheep, and then I checked to see if I had done something for the pig pen, but I hadn't yet and was about to, but realized that I also kind of had to install one to connect to the mining guild right over here, so I decided to wait until I finished all the builds there and see how the road would work. That was a weird sentence. But at this point, I decided that it was time to wrap up. At this point, I also decided that I couldn't really work on finishing the buildings for the build, so that was going to be part of the main projects for the next build. So I took the last bit, which was to add more buildings, and attached it to the other plans that I had, which was to finish the vault and also get the fields and extra sort of bits to the village all centered and filled out. And at this point, I decided to, of course, do my wonderful little outro, which involved thanking you all for watching. I apologize for the weird nature of this video, so I will plan ahead next time, I promise you that. And if you want to continue supporting me, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Doing so shows me a lot of support and that you care. At this point, I want to thank you all. Hope you have a wonderful day and or night. And until then, I must bid you all adieu.